Curator Kicki Storm and the Rye Arts Center will be presenting Black Artists in the Spotlight, Currents of Creativity, until February 29th. This exhibit features 20 phenomenal artists recognized worldwide. For more information, visit ryeartscenter.org or call 914-967-0700.
Hello everybody, my name is DeMarcus McGoy. Thank you for attending the exhibition and the artist talk, and I'm sorry that I couldn't be there with you today. I had to be in Dallas, Texas with my family. I am a mixed media artist based out of Brooklyn, New York, but I'm originally from Dallas, Texas. And so the pieces that I create, they are mixed media pieces of individuals that I know. They're all friends of mine and they're all family members. And the materials that I use canvas. I sometimes use paper collage. I sometimes use acrylic paint. And I sometimes use fabric. The cool thing about the fabrics are they are inherited pieces of unused fabrics from my grandmother's quilt collection. So when she was alive, she would create quilts to give us as gifts in my family. And so when she passed away, we didn't know what to do with her fabric. So I ended up inheriting all of those fabrics and using those in my pieces. So I also feel that whoever is viewing the work, collecting the work, you also are seeing narratives and stories based off intimate, private conversations that I've had with my friends. But you're also like seeing and keeping or archiving the memory or the creativity of my grandmother as well within her fabrics. So I'm also a certified life coach. So like I said earlier, every single person that I paint a portrait or figure of, it's based off a conversation that we had. And so what I like to tell people is that what you're really looking at are intimate and private conversations on canvas. So the three particular pieces that I have into the show, one is called Ambassador of Harlem. That is a friend, and his conversation went about how did he migrate to New York and mainly Harlem. And so his piece was centered around the 100 years of the Black Harlem Renaissance. And so I wanted to know, like, out of all the places that he could have migrated to, why did he choose Harlem? And so, he chose to move to Harlem because he wanted to be an entrepreneur. And that's why in the background you'll see, the shirt that he has on says very black. And then in the background, there's kind of like this bodega, like drugstore in the back that says like our very own. And then there's another one, this woman's works, and that is from a friend. And she and I had a conversation about grievance and like the importance of not necessarily releasing and moving on, but like how do you move on? How do you continue to move forward? And it's inspired by a song, this woman's work. But basically it talked about all the things that her mom had taught her, because at the time she had lost her mom, and how does she move forward knowing that her mom migrated to the States, and her mom had this vision and this plan for herself as well as for her daughter. And so I really empathized with her about it. And I had, around the time we were having a conversation, it was around the time I lost my grandmother, and that's the first painting where I implemented her fabrics into all of my pieces. Then there's another piece of a gentleman that he's on a green background brick wall, and he has on a white t-shirt and a blue cap. That is actually my Uncle Anthony, and I'm his namesake. My middle name is after him. It's DeMarcus Anthony McGoy, and it's called The Streets Call Him Candyman. And that was because I had started to learn things about him that I didn't know, and I didn't know that he had a nickname on the street called Candyman. And he was also my favorite uncle, and he also passed away from heart failure in 2020 during the pandemic. So that piece for me was a piece also about moving forward and grievance and just learning a little bit more history about my uncle, who was kind of like my hero at the time. So I guess to answer a question of when did I start to use my artistic flame, again, within grievance. My best friend was an artist. His name was Tawfiq Muhammad. And he and I went to college together, and I went the graphics route, and he went the fine arts route. And when he passed away again from congestive heart failure, it sparked something in me to just create art again, just to feel a little bit closer to him or for therapy. And I started to realize all the different opportunities that I got. And so I just continued with it. And it felt like that's what the world was requiring from me or asking of me. So I decided to dive into it, and I'm really enjoying it, but mainly I'm really enjoying telling the stories of others, and also implementing the stories of myself, because one day someone's going to look at this and they're going to know that they were here and that their stories matter. So again, thank you for being here. Sorry that I couldn't be here with you. And again, I appreciate everything that you've done. And thank you, Kicki. And hello to all my fellow artist friends and my contemporaries. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Emlyn Taveras. I'm honored to be a part of the Currents of Creativity exhibit at the Rye Arts Center, highlighting Black artists. I'm a 2D, 3D mixed media artist. I'm also an arts educator. As an Afro-Caribbean woman, often my work is an exploration of cultural and spiritual identity and all the facets that make up who we are. I have two artworks in the show, both mixed media portraits created in a similar style, collage style. My approach is often material-based, and in these two particular portraits, titled The Tears of Injustice and The Facets of Love, they're assembled with different handmade papers and textures. These small, intricate shapes and textures symbolizing all the different complexities and fragments that make up who these young men are. These artworks are a part of a series created in response to the social injustices that our young people are experiencing and continue to experience, and the impact that this grief and trauma is having in shaping their identities. I hope that you're able to visit the Currents of Creativity exhibit up until February 29th, and I want to thank you for your support.
Is oil paint on recycled wood. My emphasis or mission is to create a two-way narrative that encompasses culture, representation, eco-friendly use, and creative use of art, and changing the dialogue on what art is and what it can be represented as, and really focusing on women, specifically Black women, and those from the Afro-Caribbean and Latina diasporas as well. Where it all started was back in college. I really started to ask the question of what is art, what can it mean, and why am I not seen in art? I realized that if I'm not seen in it, why not create it? And make a beautiful traditional art piece with using oil paint and put it on a source that we use for everything else, and have it framed in a way that we make it luxurious, we make it glamorous, and we make it into, or remake it into something and with pride and joy. Remember that art is something to experience, not just create and throw away.
It feels playful, it feels interactive, it almost feels like a dance. And other elements, it kind of feels like a wrestle, like you're wrestling with the idea, even the way the paint moves, and there are these like climactic bursts of paint that just gets splashed right on top. That can be looked at either as a positive thing or a negative thing. I really appreciate that kind of unique outcome. So as the artist, I'm not always thinking about outcome in that sense. At the most, I think I try to find, capture my interest, find moments of tension. Oftentimes you're working through something, an idea, an inspiration, a concept. You try to now add a version of relief to that, so it looks balanced. And then at the end, what seals it all is the idea of some kind of a nuance, right? Is it is it the paint? Is it how this piece connects to the other piece? Does it feel like it has a sense of like synergy and balance? Then you know the work is done.
Good day, I'm Jeremy Turpin. I am an artist, designer, painter. I come from New York, Long Island, as well as upstate. I grew up in Buffalo. My background in art deals with my parents raising me in the arts. Both my parents are in the arts, as it be to music or dance, as well as visual and painting. As far as my subject matter that I mostly tend to go for is contemporary pop mixed with some abstract. I do a lot of political pieces. I do a lot of celebrities. I do a lot of women, just of beauty. I do have a series called Levels of Beauty. At the Rye Arts Center, I showcased a piece called Tiffany, and it was a black and gray piece, black and white with a fade of pink. This is another part of it as well. Please follow me at Jeremy J. Turpin. Gallery 126. Enjoy your day.
Hello, good people. My name is Martrice Roach, and I am a visual artist from New Jersey, but I love the city of Chicago. I visited Chicago and fell in love. Now, Chicago has all these different neighborhoods, right? And in each neighborhood, you have pockets of history. So I decided to go around the city and explore and visit places that were historically important. The DuSable Art Museum, the Southside Community Arts Center, the Quinn Chapel, all these things, right? And then I came home and I was just so inspired. I created a piece of art that connected all of that history, and I called it Chicago.
So, the song I chose, of course, is Nina Simone. Woo! I live by Nina Simone, James Baldwin. I don't start my studio practice without the two of them. Oh, yeah. It's either reading Baldwin or listening to Nina. So I chose Young, Gifted, and Black. I was in the show last year with Alvin, and I have two pieces. The two pieces are from a larger series called Ancestral Call. I am a originally trained oil painter, but 6-7 years ago, I decided to go on a new journey, which is to step out the box, and I started doing ancestral work. So the pieces that you're seeing that are out there are actually from several different trips through the South, plantations, databases, Tulane University, Amistad, LSU. Tobacco is in that piece. It's painted in the back on the Free People of Color data log. So that's what you're seeing, those words. Those are the certificates that slaves have to carry to be free. The images themselves are images that have been lost, images that have been forgotten. They've been in boxes, and our history is being tossed. There's no history without us. I can tell you that. And our history should not be erased. So I've become a artist / historian / I am also an art professor, so that leans into it, and I am a mother of 3, so we have to tell our stories.
On behalf of Adam Levy, our executive director, our very dedicated staff and board of directors, we want to thank you for being here today as we continue to amplify the incredible artists who are here today, some in person, some on Zoom. And, some of you may not know, the Rye Arts Center, in addition to supporting artists, putting artists' work out there, we are actually the largest multi-art center in the region, serving over 50,000 people a year through our public art, our classes, our outreach programs, our workshops, our performances and events. And we feel so lucky to have this show here in our gallery. The Rye Arts Center, our mission is to inspire lifelong enthusiasm and participation in the arts through best-in-class artistic offerings and educational programs. We strive to have a positive impact on our local communities by bringing attention to the importance of the arts, creating a destination for diverse voices, and by providing meaningful artistic opportunity. And it is my absolute pleasure in a moment to introduce Kicki, but first I want to thank the First Bank of Greenwich, Grayson and Associates, and Kicki Storm for making this exhibit happen and supporting the exhibit. And without further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce Kicki Storm, our curator and board member of Black Artists in the Spotlight, Currents of Creativity.
Thank you so much for being here today. This is great. I'm so happy to see this. Wow, it's standing room only. That's pretty amazing. Anyway, thrilled to have you all here today. Thank you, Allie, for the introduction. Thank you to our sponsors, and I want to thank my hanging crew who helped me hang everything. You're great with hammers and lasers and tape measures. Thank you, Kristen Bowen, Mira Agarwal, and Sean Roth. I also want to say a special thank you to the Rye Arts Center staff. Special shout out to Sarah McKay, the gallery manager, for helping make this show a success. I think I might be driving them all crazy with my endless push for perfection and promoting the show. Thank you for coming here today. Thank you for being here, and also thank you for the Facebook live stream virtual audience. We're happy to have all of you enjoying the Artist Talk this afternoon. We are off to a great start this year with the Rye Arts Center in recognizing and celebrating Black History Month with a superb opening night. Many of you were here, if you missed it, you can catch it on Channel 12 or in the Rye Record, where it was featured in today's newspaper. Or you can follow me on Instagram, because I'm an endless feed for the promotion for the show at Kicki Storm. Every year, there's a theme for Black History Month. It just so happens that the theme for this year is African Americans and the Arts. Today at the Arts Center, and we are true to theme, the Rye Arts Center is celebrating Black History Month with an amazing gallery show, as you see here today. Today at the Artist Talk, you'll get a chance to hear more from our artists about their craft and their art in the show. It will be a hybrid presentation with a few artists who live in other parts of the United States, Florida, Georgia, and Virginia, and parts of New Jersey. So I'm thrilled to share this talented group of artists with you and their incredible art. A little bit of a background on the show. 2 years ago, I curated a show in honor of Black History Month titled Alvin and Friends. It was a groundbreaking show for the Rye Arts Center in that it was the first time the Rye Arts Center did a show in honor of Black History Month. It was a hit near and far. In fact, our friend Alvin Clayton, whose art was featured, is also participating in the show, as well as a number of the other artists who were highlighted at that time. We are glad to have them back. That show set the stage for this month's show, which features 20 artists. Many of these artists I've known for a while. I met them through friends, art centers, other curators, shows, Instagram, and through connections through Art Basel. Woo, okay, that's not me. Many of these artists have had museum shows and collected by museums. They have public installations as well. Most of them do solo shows only, and I am honored to have them in a group show to share their work with us this month. Many of them are here today. Please meet them and enjoy their art as they express their America to you. It will be my pleasure to introduce you to them today. But before I do, I just want to share that art is also not only on the gallery walls, but I am wearing art in this dress, which is actually inspired by one of the artists. It's his creation, and his friend, the designer Marco Hall, created this dress. I'm just going to turn around because it's his artwork. The title of the work, I thought we were going to have the work on the film here, the picture of this art, which is called. Nope, it's called Welcome to My World. Anyway, if you can pull it up, this is Anthony Boone. This is the artist. And I'm going to start off with an introduction with Anthony Boone. Welcome to my world. Hey, Anthony. Come on stage. Here it is. There's the painting. Here's the dress. Here's the artist.
Hey, everyone. Hey, how you guys doing? My name is Anthony Boone, abstract painter, sculptor, and I have my own founded Boone Our Life Apparel, and that was founded in 2015. Welcome to My World is an old painting that I did that was created in 2008. And when I started creating these worlds, this is one of those paintings I created, and that's what I'm known for, is creating these atmospheric, kind of galaxies. And so I thought this was the perfect name for this particular painting, Welcome to My World. So, started painting in 2005. Didn't think that I would be an artist. I didn't think that I would be, actually standing in front of you guys. I'm amazed at every time that how much my work has put me in rooms I never thought that I would be in. Started painting in 2005. I worked on the railroad since 1993. And even though I worked on the railroad, I still had the time to create. I had raised 3 children and still created artwork. I still, found, I was, inspired, or I would say ambitious, to do these art fairs and do these galleries and do the libraries and stuff like that. So I always stayed involved. And just me being consistent has put me in rooms that I never thought that I would be in.
Let's see some more pictures of Anthony's work that's in the show, actually. Here we go.
So this particular painting is actually called It, instead of
This one.
Yeah.
Stop.
That's okay.
It's It. Can everyone see?
So welcome to my world. It was just mostly it was a mixed media, so I'm just using, acrylic paint and wood stains. But because of my elevation as an artist, you grow. And so through my elevation, I started adding different elements to my work. So, I wanted the work to feel more believable. So just using like sand and wood stains and shells, seashells, and using, a heat gun, using a fan, so that's the wind. So even though I'm creating these erosions, I'm tilting the canvas, I'm pouring paint, I'm letting paint dry and peeling it off and adding it back to the canvas. So it's just these different elements that I'm adding to the work because I wanted the work to feel more believable when you look at it. Even with this particular painting, and just inspired by different other artists. Brian Smalls, he used alcohol ink, and I actually asked him. I said, can I use some of your alcohol ink? So actually, this particular painting is the first painting I actually started using alcohol ink in my work. So just being inspired by other different artists, actually pushes the work as well.
Next slide.
This is called sometimes for artists, it's hard for us to name our work, and
It's hard to
so
get it right.
I literally would watch paint dry. So I would stand and sit in front of my canvases, and be there for hours, and I'll write down different things that really resonate with me when I'm looking at the work. This particular piece, this actually started my series called Beyond Description. And that's how I feel that these pieces are. They just exist. They are, these worldly, or atmospheric paintings, but to me, I just feel like I'm a god of the work, and I just feel like these are the paintings that just needs to exist, and you have your own interpretation as to when you look at it. And so I'll leave it up to the
Next
the
slide. Next slide.
Stardust. This is a painting that was actually inspired by one of my mentees. He works for the New Jersey Turnpike, and he actually called me one day. He says, Anthony, I have all this asphalt. Could you use this in your work? And I told him to bring it by. And I started adding it to the work. And one thing, like when I first started painting, it's very raw in the moment. But as you grow, as you start at it, it's raw, but then I'm also being deliberate about where I'm placing things on the canvas. So this particular painting, if you look at the center here, that's actually paper towel. And I don't know why I wanted to use paper. I just seen it on the ground. And I said it's just something that resonated with me to add it to the work. And to me, it just brings, just a different element to my work. The asphalt, when you think about it, how many cars probably went over this asphalt before it was, added to the canvas? So that energy is in that work. And I want you to feel it. I want you to feel like, this is something that's organic. Feel like it's more believable.
Thank you, Thank you, Anthony.
The last time I was here, I saw a lot of eyes on me, and I felt like a deer in headlights. So I'm going to read from a script. So bear with me. Okay. First and foremost, got to give love to it. I dedicate my life to my ancestors. I dedicate my life to my higher self. I dedicate my life to my mighty I Am presence. I dedicate my life to my divine parents. I dedicate my life to the creator of all there is. I dedicate my life to the cause of why I'm here on earth. I dedicate my life to my parents, brother, children, grandchildren, children yet unborn. Got to get out that way. So I followed your prompts, which makes it a little bit easier to work with. Who am I? I am that I am. I am an advocate for my inner child. I am a paint pusher. I am the life partner and artistic partner of Katori Walker, an amazing woman. An amazing woman who supports my creative endeavors. I'm committed to using my art to heal and empower people through unique and engaging art projects. I'm here to beautify communities through murals that celebrate creativity, culture, and humanity. Quick background. I'm born and raised in the BX, all right? Absolutely. Moms took us from University Avenue to Riverdale to give us better educational opportunities. I give thanks for that. I attended college, and while I was attending college, I raised my first son as a single father and a full-time student. I graduated cum laude and received my BA in art design from North Carolina State. North Carolina A&T State University. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you. Okay. Okay, gonna keep moving. 2013, I took my sabbatical from teaching and embraced the life of a full-time artist. 10 years ago to this month, I met Katori. She's a special woman, so I can put her up in there. We joined forces to produce everything from body art to murals to engaging community art projects, including the first Young Bridge Comic Con. Yes. Last year, we celebrated hip hop's 50th anniversary, and I co-curated Hip Hop Heroes, which is exhibited at the Huntsburg Museum that's still up until the end of this month. So thank you for going there, Kicki. Quick moment, the moment that ignited my artistic flame, there is a documentary called Style Wars. If you know Style Wars, it is a documentary about graffiti art and the emergence of graffiti art. When I watched that as a teenager, I pledged allegiance to spray paint and everything. To this day, I use spray paint to incorporate and to engage art and the viewer. So now my painting. This painting definitely got to be done by my brother Lance Johnson, who's somewhere in the world living the art life. Our brother Khalif, we were actually on the phone back and forth. If you haven't seen it, you should see it. There's a documentary called Time, the Khalif Browder story. And when we watched that, we knew the story, we knew the bits and pieces from hearsay and the media, but this documentary kind of unveiled a lot that we needed to see. So Lance and I were talking, we were enraged, and we knew that through art, we can tell the story. So, not going to get into that about Khalif Browder, do your research, but what I did is, so Lance lays the background in his beautiful, original style. The symbolism of the butterfly speaks of the transformation, speaks of the freedom that Khalif Browder fought for while he was going through so much. I wanted to show him in a space of defiance. So I painted the body. Down here is a quote from Dead Prez, their first album, so it's kind of a movie that added to it. When I looked at Khalif and his story, I knew that I wanted to share a face of innocence, but also defiance. I took kind of an inspiration from Tupac's tattoos, which say Thug Life, and I kind of remixed it to be truth, which he fought for it. And I know Tupac, he has To Die For. I wanted to flip that as well. The scales of justice, clearly, the brother did not receive that.
Can I just say something? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Can you just give a little background, because some people might not know, and I think I will be able to.
Khalid Ryder was 16 years old in the Bronx. He was pulled over because someone accused him of stealing a backpack. He spent over 1,000 days in jail. 700 of those days he spent in solitary confinement. And the brother did not buckle. He did not give up and say, I'll admit to something I did. He did not give up. He said, I didn't do it, and I'm not going to admit to it. And this system put him through the ringer. And while he's one of thousands of black men in this system, he had the opportunity to get his spotlight shining on him. Jay-Z called him a prophet. I call him me because I'm from the Bronx. I call him my son because he's my son. But I call him my brother Khalif. Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to go to our next in-person artist. MC.
Hi everyone, nice to see y'all again. For those who haven't met me before, my name is MC, Master of Creativity, the acronym, and I try to live by that to the best of my ability. I'm from Mount Vernon, born and raised. I've been painting for about 30 years now. I've been drawing all my life. It's genetics through my father and my grandfather, so I had that gift and didn't know it and just was trying to use it. So that's my story with drawing and introduction into art. Visual ecstasy. I created this because this is my favorite color, blue, as well as my baby. You see this? Right? Monochromatic blue because it's my favorite color and I wanted to be different. You know, I try to always strive to be different and unique and try to put a little bit of myself in my pieces. And plus, I think this is my interpretation of ecstasy if it was visual. I think it would be nice and bubbly and nice pretty blue, and this is my interpretation. And this is Taraji P. Henson when she was younger. Little that people know. Well, some people know that, see, because that's who that is, and I just took that and just did my own thing to it. So that's how you have visual ecstasy.
Next slide.
Okay, Mother of Pearls. This piece is so profound. It's very thought-provoking. It took me a long time to really think of the concept on what I'm gonna put on her face, how I'm gonna do it, following the contours of her face and her body, and what I'm gonna put. So as you see, it's a butterfly because I believe most women, all women, are like butterflies. They're beautiful, they're so precious and delicate. like a butterfly. So symbolically, that's what it represents to me.
But they sting like a bee.
True indeed. So, and the detail from the braids to each and every pearl, the shadows from the pearl, trying to make it as round as possible because the hand is not as steady. And just the time that it took into this piece, I was so well pleased once I finished. And I'm glad it's getting the respect and you are enjoying it because I enjoyed creating it. And she's for sale.
I gotta ask, where did you learn to draw like that? That's a skill.
Yes,
when did you start?
Well, all my life I've been drawing. All my life I've been drawing. And then I met a guy named Frank Whitaker who took me under the wing and started teaching me about paint, color, training my eyes. You know, it's a lot that goes to art. So I'm glad you asked that question. Training your eyes, you have to train your eyes. Us as artists, we know we have to have that artistic eye to see things and have that foresight to be able to see things when it's not even in front of you. So that, he taught me that, strengthened that up, and once that got strength, everything else fell in place. I became better, and I seen now things differently, and my approach became different.
Excuse me, how big is that piece?
30 by 40. 30 by 40. 30 by 40? I think it's 30 by 40. Or it's 24 by 30. We have it out there. But please, this size. But I can make it any size you want. Like you said, any size you want. Any other questions, anybody?
Who is this model after?
She's my muse, my baby right here. I created her up. I've just made her up and I use her as my muse.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
What I like about it are the eyes. It invites you into it. You know, you can't take your eyes off the eyes.
Wow, thank you so much.
You see everything else, but what draws you in are the eyes, and then it's contrasted with the gold around and the little baby curls.
I'm glad that you said that. The first lesson I learned from my mentor was the eyes. He said, and that's the first thing. I teach here as well. I teach here as well on Mondays. Well, my class is not going down, but that's one of the things I teach my students first, the eyes. There's so many dynamics that take place in the eyes, and once you capture the eyes, like he told me, you capture the soul, because it is truly the window to your soul. And that's why I put so much time into my eyes. And thank you for recognizing that. Nice, nice. Oh, nice. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So once again, I am honored. I am pleasured to just render my service to you all and humanity. And thank you for appreciating my work. It means so much to me. Now, please, just
Okay, so now we're moving on to in person. Okay, so Kevin, we've got in person. We have Alvin Clayton.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Thank you all so much for coming out. Congratulations to all the amazing artists in this show. I'm really honored to be a part of this show. I'm a self-taught artist. Been painting since 1989. My first solo show in 91 in Soho in the Art Studio. My art represents my experiences. I paint my own truths. I don't judge anyone's opinions about anything, but I believe that my opinions matter, and so I express my opinion. For a very long time, because I'm not a person that kind of like pushing buttons too much, I kept a lot of my personal art, political art, to myself. However, a few years ago, with the whole George Floyd situation, I changed my tone, and I realized that, you know what, I have a voice, and if I have a platform, I should be able to say what I need to say. And a lot of people have responded to that, and I'm thankful for that. I have 3 pieces in this show, and the first piece here, which is called Justice Blinded by Political Ideology. I was at Art Basel in December, and I saw a photograph of the Supreme Court justices, and it was about 10 feet by 8 feet, really powerful. And the artist that took the photograph, they had all of the justices' eyes blacked out. But as soon as I saw it, I was like, yes, justice is supposed to be blind, but unfortunately in the political climate that we're in, we almost know how people are going to vote in this climate, because they bring a political ideology, which is unfortunate, to their jobs. And so what I did here was I blocked out, you could tell who were Democrats, who were Republicans. And the people in the back of the back row, they're much larger than the people in the front, because unfortunately, the last 3 people, in my opinion, that have been nominated to the Supreme Court carry all the power of the court right now. Even though some of the opinions that they have are in the minorities for the country, their power has overpowered the political sphere. And so that's why I have them much larger. With all the stuff that's been going on, I just been had this feeling of like drowning. It's like everything has been so overwhelming. It's like you just have, like I felt like I couldn't breathe, and so I wanted to do this painting, and it's called Drowning, and it just was representing the space that I was in, and so just can't get above water. So that's the feeling that I wanted to get at that. And there's a lot, that we do every day. I paint, just to let you know, there's a lot of great, beautiful paintings that I do. I'm a very complex person. I go through moods. I love jazz. I paint everything that I like. I like jazz. I like beautiful garden scenes, and I paint all those things. But I do believe that the artist has to speak, and I do believe that if you do have a platform, that you should be able to say something that's going to make a difference in people's lives and make people think. And so that's why for this particular show, instead of showing all of the fluffy and beautiful things, we're not in that space right now in this country. And so I wanted to have these paintings that I have to express where I am as a person of color in this country, how I feel. And so that's why I do these paintings. And everybody talks about, what's wrong, what's not going right, what's upside down or whatever. And I always think it's like, okay, yeah, we know that, but what can we do about it, right? Solutions. We need to come up with solutions. And so the third piece that I have in the show is hope. And I chose this particular piece because I was raised by a woman, and I think us men, we screw things up pretty much already. So I have my hope in women as being the catalyst to kind of change the dynamic of what's going on in the world today. And I use these young women of interracial heritage because and they're looking kind of out into the future, because I believe that the empathy of these women who are going to be bearing children into this world, hopefully the children that they bring into the world they will teach them the empathy to love and care about each other. And so I wanted to have a positive piece in the show that reflects that hope and, you know, where we could be, you know, if we kind of just got rid of all the animals that we show each other. We kind of just right now, and if you notice, they're all like embraced, and they're probably having a conversation talking to each other rather than at each other. And I think that's what goes on now. Everybody gets into their own corner, and they have their views, and no one's listening to anyone. And I think the hope of these young women could be the place that we want to be. So that's where I am. And you know, and I paint all my paintings on oil. And I started being influenced by Henri Matisse. And I think in the last 2 years, I really think that I've actually found my own voice in my paintings. Even the paintings that I do of gardens and different things like that. But I really like the voice that I use right now for my work. And the stories that I have to tell. And even if it's not perfect, it gets the stories out. And I hope that's really what it is.
Well done, One quick question. I can't help but think of McGree. Are you familiar with McGree? The clouds, the heads, the figures, you don't really see the heads, or it's just naturally that you form, not knowing McGree?
You know what, I'm not knowing.
That's even better in a way, because that's a very similar form, and you get a sort of textural play. You also do a very decorative dance in what you do. It's very beautiful.
Well,
but
I think also the reason that I put the back view of the people is that we can use our empathy to, everybody can relate to that situation, and they don't have to make any judgment about who the person is, but you feel the moment and the feeling of the situation.
Real art.
And our next guest in person is, drum roll please, Barry Mason.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here, and also thank you to Rye Arts Center for hosting the show, and Kicki for curating once again. And also to all the artists. I mean, you know, some of the faces I recognize, and then there's new faces here, and just, you know, even the artists, what you do. I'm just always in awe of just looking at other artists' work. I mean, it's just the way it is. I mean, it's just kudos to all you all. Okay, a little bit about me. As you can see here, my works are shaped canvases, something I've been known for. I've been shaping my own canvases since 1981, so it's been a minute. Shaping my own canvases here. I guess a little bit of backstory on me. I'm from a small town, Snow Hill, Maryland, on the eastern shore of one stoplight. So my backyard or front yard or backyard is trees, front yard is now trees where I grew up. But before they were like corn or soybeans, or if you go down the road, cattle or whoever that was growing or grazing or what have you. I did not know anything about art or artists other than Norman Rockwell, Michelangelo, Leonardo, and art. But as a young boy, I was always drawing, catching, you know, drawing pictures. Let's say my father might be asleep, I'd catch him sleeping or what have you, or something in the newspaper or magazine, whether it be an animal or landscape. And also during time in the 6th grade, we started building. People said, well, where does construction come in? I've been building and creating as well from drawing, but also building all my life. The last thing I built was a wall unit that's in my late parents' house that was from floor to ceiling. So I knew a little bit about woodwork and building. Also, artists that's been around for a while tested this. Back in the day, every artist had to build their own painting structures. You didn't have like with Blick and all the others that has all the multi-sizes, the canvas already stretched. We had to do all that. So I was building my own painting structure, and that was where I was at Indiana State University, and that's what also opened me up to abstract expressionism and looking at, these paintings by Jackson Pollock, Robert Motherwell. so on and so forth. And our history teacher, I think it's like Ralph Mayer or what have you, and back then you could smoke in class. Chain smoker and bring up all these slides. Boom, boom. And he always said, you don't understand until you see it in person. And so I actually got a chance to see a real Robert Motherwell or Jackson Pollock or whomever in person was. I traveled because I would drive from Snow Hill, Maryland, 18-hour drive to Indiana State University. Back then I was out there, I used to go at Larry Bird and Kurt Thomas, so you know. So I'm giving away my age, but that's okay. And on my way back to the East Coast, take school break, I stopped in, I think they opened up the East Wing in Washington, D.C., and I actually saw a huge Robert Motherwell, William de Kooning, Jackson Pollock, all these artists. I was like, I gotta build something large like this. And so that's why I got into building from small paintings to really large paintings. In 1981, I did a particular sketch, and I had a little piece to go around it. The only thing is, sometimes we think as artists, but we shouldn't think. And so I thought, okay, well, I'll have this in metal going around it. But the only thing, I didn't know how to weld. But I knew how to build, and so I built the shape, go around it, and that was the beginning of my shape pieces. I've been shaping my paintings ever since. And with each piece of painting I'm shaping, like this particular one here is revolutionary. This came about, and I'm skipping, you know, through like a time or what have you. I was very blessed and fortunate to get a commission this summer where the gentleman said, some commission people say, well, we want this and that, and he says, there you have carte blanche, do whatever you want, I love your style, yada, 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 it's all on you. And I was like, great, you know. And so I started on 2 paintings, so I said, well, I'll work on 2 and see which one that he wants. Well, I went with the first one because the only thing when creating this, it kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I mean, this piece here is like 6 by 7 feet or 6 by 8 feet. And in creating this particular piece, my works overall, it went from sketch pad to backdrop paper to now my actual studio floor is a big sketchbook. And I'm actually laying lumber down on the floor and figuring things out. The wood is actually talking to me. In fact, my chiropractor slash, he does nutrition as well, says to me, he said, you should wrap your arm around a tree because you get energy from the wood, because I was talking about my work every day. And I actually did that once, and I felt the energy. I feel the energy when I'm actually building my structures, like it's actually talking to me. I'm going into the zone. Not only that, but when I'm painting as well. And you know, curve here, do this, do that. And so with this, I started with this almost like that, a tree, and from there, I began to branch out with all my other shapes going around. And so then, and once completing this piece here, it almost felt like it's floating. I mean, I did, like I said, over the years, tons and tons of shape paintings, small, large, but I felt a sense of almost like it could just float away. And not only that, because of the use of my paint, I'm oil painter as well, just like Alvin mentioned oils, but here I'm using oils, spray paint, and enamel. I went back to enamel on certain things because I remember back in the day, some of the early Jackson Pollocks and William de Koonings and others, they would sometimes use enamel paint. And so I began to add with that because the, I guess the smoothness or texture or lack of texture of adding enamel in with the spray paint, and also I'm known for writing backwards, going from right to left. And so I'm always weaving it out. Like I said, I grew up in the country, and so I found that like when you look into a forest and how the trees and the vines and the little small leaves or whatever is growing on the ground, and how it all interacts. I'm like, look at this. This is just phenomenal. How it all works in nature, and then this backdrop of the beautiful sky or whatever it is that's going on or what have you. And I'm weaving in and out even the colors. So what you see here, but when I'm laying my paint down, I might start with earth colors, and then I work with more brighter colors, or I work in reverse. I'm going back and forth, thin lines, going here to thick lines, and it's almost like a dialogue, a dance when I'm creating, because of like I love jazz and R&B and opera and everything. So I feel like I put in my bio almost like I feel like a composer. I'm composing and putting everything together to, make this, what I call a brilliant piece. And sometimes in going into the zone, you don't even know what's going on until you come back and you look at it the next day, you're like, what the heck? And what the heck can be in a good way or bad way, like, I gotta go back into this page and work on it again. And, I don't feel bad about it because I'm a well-known artist, not sure, and Robert Rauschenberg and how he did an interview and how he said some pieces you can overwork or underwork, and as artists, we're like going back and forth and getting to, someone asks, well, how do you know when it's done? And I said, well, I feel like it can stand on its own, almost like raising a child. When you feel like your child can now stand on its own, they can go out into the world and do whatever they want to do and what have you. And I feel like, my works are done when I feel like it can go out on its own and it speaks for itself. This one here is project interpretation. And just like the last piece, but also my shape pieces, I'm always dealing with positive, negative spaces within my works. Backstory as well, my mom used to pick up, I think it was like after Wrigley's pop-ups or whatever it is, and you used to see them in books now, pop-ups, get little kids pop-ups, and how they would come out and create various shapes. And I think that was also influenced me in, my shapes as well, but in a subliminal way. And so, like I said, I'm always looking at positive, negative shapes. Now, one thing about this particular piece here, and also some pieces I've created where it's one piece, I do a sense of separation. But with this particular piece here, as I was building it and going back and forth, I would turn this way, I had it attached, going back that way. I was like, oh gosh, I'm getting confused. And so what I wound up doing was, I wound up painting everything. Also, backstory on this here, I use more, I guess, prominent and bold colors. For some reason, one of my paintings I did back in the 1977, 79, whatever like that, it was almost like that, but last year, I think look back just heavier, bold colors, but still adding thin lines, what have you in there. But with this particular piece here, after I created it, I saw where this piece here actually could turn this way or this way and it would still work. And it was like, okay, I think I stumbled onto something new here, or what have you, that I can apply to maybe some other paintings from time to time. So certain things work and some things don't. And for this, it actually worked where I can take this piece here and turn it, or this piece here back and this way a little bit. I think in the gallery this hangs a little bit this way here. Then this goes like a little bit more. So it basically proved my point of, okay, I can dig this. And so anyway, so this is project interpretation. So let's say if someone bought the piece and during the winter they wanted to hang it like this, and during the summer they say, well, I'm going to turn this way, or now I'm going to move it to from my living room into the den because it's a bigger wall space and turn it that way or this way. Okay.
Okay. I'm going to continue with the in-person. So, sorry about the people zooming in. Technical problems is stumping us on this one. But anyway, so we're moving on to our next in-person. Are you ready, Courtney Miner?
All right. Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. So I was thinking a little bit about what I would say up here, and figured I would tell my story and then explain some of these pieces. So, again, I'm Courtney Miner, and I came to art a long way around. So, as a child, I used to sketch every house, every car, every person in my neighborhood, and I had books this thick with just sheets of paper, just sketches. And I did that probably from like when I first picked up a pencil, and then I stopped around like 12. And I didn't paint, draw, glue, sew, anything again until 5 years ago. Wow. And during those years, I went to college. I had my degrees in something completely completely away from art. I'm an engineer by degree. Yeah, completely opposite. But when I went to go work in engineering, I realized, my God, I do not fit in here. I do not like this. I don't care about these numbers. I just kind of want to tear some stuff up. Which segued into me becoming a collage artist. But yeah, about 5 years ago, I was sitting at my desk at my then job, and I was just like, I can't take it anymore. I can't do this anymore. And so I left the country. Tori knows this. I left the country. I went away for a month to Vietnam. Did like a pray love without all the negative parts. And I was sitting in my Airbnb in Saigon, and I just kept fiddling with my iPhone because I didn't own a camera at the time. All I had was the new upgraded iPhone, and I started taking infamous selfies. And I kept looking at them and looking at them. I'm like, what if I could do something with this? So, in very broken Vietnamese, I figured out how to get to a copy center, and I started printing out the photography that I'd been taking with all my travel ones. And then I started gluing and sewing to the canvases. And I had about 2 canvases I made in Vietnam. I flew back to the United States, and I just kept making stuff because, again, I was stressed out at my very awful job. And I'm glad I'm away from that. And then a good friend of mine who is an artist happened to come by my apartment. Now, again, I haven't done this for like 10, 15 years. And so the first thing he asked is like, oh, who are you collecting? And I was like, me? And he convinced me, along with 2 other folks, to show my artwork at an event called Hang Night. Some of you know the Heaths. Y'all know the Heaths. The Heath Art Gallery. So I showed, that was my first time showing, and then from there, it just kind of blew up. And I'm so glad that life happened the way it did, because it shows that you can't really give up, you know? So as part of my stress relief and tearing up paper, it segued into the type of work I do. So I do my own photography. So I create all my own collage pieces. Either I'll paint miniature canvases, and then I photograph the canvas I just painted. Or I have a photograph of a person that I know. I'll alter it either digitally or physically, photograph that, and then I cut them all out, and tear them into little pieces, and I make them into all the artworks you see. Right? So I always tell people there's far more to the collage than just finding magazines. I don't do magazines. Now, in the recent years, probably about 3-4 years ago, actually the night that George Floyd died, I was really overwhelmed with emotion. And I was making my collages, but I just felt like I couldn't get what I was feeling out, like what I wanted to say, and I was like, forget this. I'm just gonna write it. And that was the first night I started doing graffiti. So even though my 2 works that are in this show don't show my graffiti, all of my new works show a mixture of collage with graffiti with paint and with spray paint. So I hope someday you all see that, but that is my style currently. Now these works, these are inspired by a residency that I was part of last summer. I was Art Crawl Harlem. And the theme was, I think it was boombox, like hip hop, for the hip hop 50th. But I wanted to turn it on its head. So I started thinking about all of my favorite songs in hip hop and the memories I had tied to them, and then I only created the memories on my canvases. And this specific one here, Gazelle Moves, this features a very good friend of mine, who I'm not gonna call her name, she'll kill me. But she was in the room, she was just spinning around and she was dancing, and it was tied to a song that we were hearing because she was dancing to J. Cole, She Knows. And she just kept moving and bouncing, and I just captured that moment, and I kept saying, I'm gonna use this for something. And so I layered that piece with a crown, because I felt like most people should wear crowns, they should feel special. If they don't, you need to get a crown for yourself. And then in the background, because a lot of my work I feature myself in some way or shape or form, but this is me posing in my studio as the muses, because I felt like the muses that influence all forms of music, including hip hop, they needed to be really prominent in this work. And then I cut it in the shape of a circle, which some saw as a halo, but I saw it as a record. Whether it's the record back in the day, a CD, however you want to interpret it, it's still that spinning of that music. And they combined together on a black background And all of my black backgrounds, whether this body of work or others, I think of it as like a black hole, so that the image, the work, the landscape I'm creating feels suspended in space. So that's the background behind that. So that's Gazelle Moves. And then my second piece, I guess there we go. So this is my second piece. This is Imagine That. So this one was inspired by Nas and Lauryn Hill, If I Rule the World. Y'all know the song, he's like, Imagine That, right? And I remember my key memory with that is I was sitting in my brother's car. My brother is a huge hip hop head. And it just felt like we were just floating above the world. We were just larger than life. So in this collage, I wanted to manifest not only just the muses, but them being larger than the cityscape that I have collage behind it. This is one of about 25 works I did in my residency. All the landscapes and cities are places that I had visited that were tied to that song when I heard it. So this one is a mixture of not only just Jersey City and New York, but there are elements of my hometown, Houston, in this work. And then the landscape is a mixture of not only photography, but it's like a paper lace, and I altered it, washed it, and I often dunk a lot of my paper in tea water and let it dry. It gives it a very beautiful color and consistency. Let it dry, and that had added visual texture. The last bit, which all my works pretty much have these, are the idea of halos and drips. So with the halos, that's representing just your thoughts, your dreams, your imaginations, whatever's top of mind for you. It's like it's radiating from your mind, and that's what I wanted to capture. Whereas the drips, I call it tears of rejuvenation. So I went through a long time period of immense sadness, which I won't go into here, but it was a lot going on in my life. So a lot of my paintings had tears of sadness, and they were represented by either black or red paint. But as I came out of that period, I just felt rejuvenated, and I wanted my work to convey that rejuvenation, which is why we have tears of gold showing on the work. And that's it.
Thank you, Courtney. And our next artist, which we are featuring in person, will be Brian Small. Hello, Brian.
All right, so I'm going to do this now because I regretted it after the opening night. You guys are going to be in a photo. I was up here and I was like, it's like 1,000 people in here. And then I was like, so everybody, give me something. All right. And then we're going to do the panoramic. Because it's one of those things that I should have done. All right, I got everybody. Okay, so I'm going to put my phone down.
You forgot to do a Grammy selfie. Like
Oh!
That's great.
Got it. My parents are going to love that. Okay, so I'm Brian Small. Yeah, and Instagram. So that goes into who I am. I am Brian Small. I'm an artist, a curator, and a content creator in makeup. On TikTok, follow me. BFly777 on Instagram, on Facebook, TikTok, everywhere. But I am an abstract painter who paints from joy. So we've had a lot of conversations around people having difficult times and having experiencing what's happening in the world. I live my life in delusion. So I love to actually be my most powerful self. I always say that color and creativity are my superpowers. So I only use art for good. So if I'm feeling bad, I'm having a tough time, I do not touch art. Art is a safe space. Art is for all the good stuff, the best parts of myself. So I only paint during that time because I realized, one, the paintings aren't for me. They're for other people. And when someone decides to take one of my paintings into their spaces, I want them to have all the juju, all the best parts of myself, is in that work. So you can trust that when you see that in your home, I want you to have that moment of, oh, okay, that makes me feel good. And knowing that it's created with the best of intentions and sharing the best parts of myself. So I'm going to try and make this quick too. Alcohol ink is the medium that I work in. It's not a common medium that most people come across. Generally, they don't. But alcohol ink is a high pigmented dye that when it comes into contact with rubbing alcohol, 91% or higher, it causes the inks to move around. So I don't have a lot of control over what it is that I'm doing, but it works best on non-porous surfaces, glass, metal, tile. And Yupo paper is a synthetic paper made of recycled plastics, so it's a sustainable material. If I draw a straight line, the ink kind of moves around and I don't have control over it. I say it's like a dance. Sometimes I get to lead, sometimes the ink gets to lead. And somehow, we get it done. So it is very hard to control. So if you say, I want this painting, but I want it in blue and yellow only, I can't do that. I'm able to get, there's certain techniques that I'm able to do to manipulate the work to get it to do what I want it to do, but I'm not able to recreate a painting. So every single piece of art that I do is an original piece of work. I do not do prints. It's one and done. So it's a unique experience that I try to have while I'm creating it, and knowing that if someone were to take that, you are the only person in the world that has that piece of art. And there's no one, even if they beg me to, I can't do that again. Period. I can't. So all of my work is, like I said, it comes from a joyful place. It's all about color. It's all about energy and bringing the best parts of myself. Even the titles of my paintings typically represent where I am at that particular time or conversations that I'm having. This particular piece manifests magic, passion, and power. Over the last, say, 8 years or so, I bring in the new year painting. And the first painting that I create every year is named after the themes of my year. And every year I think about, what is it that I want to manifest? And for this particular year, I wanted to manifest magic, passion, and power. And so that's where that title came from. And so there's a series of manifest paintings. So make sure you follow me and go to my website so that you can see the others. So that's the first painting that I have here.
Next slide.
And the second one is Indulgence. So that was another year. This wasn't a full series, but Indulgence was something that I wanted to focus on. Very often we're taught to be humble, to not spend the money, save the money. And I got to the point where I'm like, that's fun and cute and all, but I'm ready to have some fun. And I'm ready to indulge. And so even with my painting, I don't hold back the amount of ink that I use. I try and make sure that if it's red, it hits the red. If it's blue, that it's blue. I don't like ish, bluish, greenish, reddish. I wanted to hit the color and live there. So another thing in my art, I do not use the color black or brown. I'm black, I'm brown, that's fine, but in my work, with it being so fluid, I try not to use that because with all the colors of inks and they mix and blend, you can easily get depression brown. And it's a brown that once you hit that color as artists, you know it's a certain rusty brown. That if you get to that brown, there's nothing that you can do to get out of that brown. And so that's why I call it depression brown. It's like it's a place that you can't get out of. So I don't use brown and black because I can get to that. So I try and use as much ink and as much fluid as I can and indulge. And that's my work.
Okay, we have 2 more in-person artists, and we are introducing Dennis Shelton. Welcome, Dennis.
Just wanted to count up to 1,000. I've never done it before. My name is is this on? Yeah. My name is Dennis Shelton, and I'm a visual artist, and I primarily work in collage, mixed media, and wood assemblage. I want to break my talk into 2 parts. So I'm going to tell you a little about myself using 3 words. The where, the when, and the who. Where? I was born in Montgomery, Alabama, in the United States. I heard someone say, oh, deep south. Oh, yeah. When was I born? I like to tell people I was there for the Montgomery bus boycott because my mother was pregnant. Come on, help me now. My mother was pregnant, so where was I? I was there because the boycott started on December 5th, 1955. Rosa Parks didn't give up her seat on the bus on December 1st, 4 days earlier. So, what was the 3 words?
Where, when,
who? Oh, who? Thank you. So, who am I? I'm the firstborn of my mother, Dorothy Shelton, who's the firstborn of my grandmother, Mineola D. Smith. Why is that important? Because my grandmother was on the bus with Rosa Parks on that day that she did not get up off the bus, off the seat. So why is that important in my work? Well, I was predestined to do this type of work. I am Black history. Black history for me is not a month, it's an existence. My grandmother is the last living witness of that day. So, when you have a moment, you Google Mineola D. Smith and Rosa Parks. I'm going to say it again. Mineola D. Smith and Rosa Parks. My grandmother is going to be, I think, 103 this year. So, that's the background of who I am. So, I said that because this work is not something I do, it's something that I live. Do you understand? Yeah. So, the 3 words for this work is unity, harmony, and movement. It's unified by the color blue, and that blue represents water. So on the bottom of the work, and this is called Seats for the Ancestors. So this blue is water, but the entire canvas is water. So water unifies the work, and water is life. If there was no water, we would not be here. So the water represents life, and it unifies this work. Second word, harmony. I wanted a work that debunked the myth of the crab barrel story. Does anyone know the crab barrel story? Of course. The crab barrel story says that as Black folk, if one of us get near the top, let me go back. The crab barrel story is we don't need a top for the barrel because we're going to keep you, brother, from escaping. We're going to keep you, sister, from escaping because as you get to the top, what do? We pull you right back down. And this work debunks that. I wanted to show love. I wanted to show harmony. I wanted to show unity. I wanted to show togetherness. And I wanted each group to be balanced and equal. And I think I achieved that. Our last word, what was it? It was movement. And there's an upward movement in this work. There's an upward mobility to our people. We are never in the same place. Am I right, Barry? We are always moving up. And so this work is moving up. That's why these beams on top are going off the edge, because this is not the end of our story. We are moving up and up and up. So, unity, we are together. Don't be fooled by the media. Don't be fooled by the stories that Channel 7 and CBS and News 12, oh, I can't say News 12, I'm sorry. NBC. We like Channel 12. But don't be fooled, because we are unified people. We've been through some stuff. I was speaking to a young lady before the talk, and she came over to my work, and she stood there, and she says, "You know what I see?" I said, "What?" She says, "I see struggle." She says, "Your people have always struggled," and that's true, but we are overcomers. And this piece is saying that beyond this, we are still going higher and higher and higher. And these are seats for the ancestors. I am not here by myself. I am not here because of what I've done. Each group has a stool that's empty, and that represents our grandmothers, our grandfathers, our Booker T. Washingtons, our Carvers, our Frederick Douglass, our Sojourner Truths, and even the ancestors that are in our families right now deserve our respect, because we are not here by ourselves. Seats of the ancestors.
Thank you, and we have one more artist, Sandra White.
Hello, everyone. So, I'll start off with my background. I did not have an art background at all as a child. I didn't know anything about art. Even through my adulthood, I lived a life of, just like everyone else. I worked, I developed passions and hobbies, and I had a good life. I had a marriage, and when the marriage ended, I was blessed to find love again, and that was in 2012. And Stanley introduced me to art. He is a retired artist and photographer, and he gave me a piece of charcoal and said, "Just go ahead and try it." And I did, and I found that I had a talent that I did not know that I had. And this opened up a whole new world for me. Started having fun with charcoal, doing some portraits, moved into pastels. This is a whole other medium, had a lot of fun with that, was doing landscapes. Then decided to take some classes. And I did this for a couple of years. It was only for my own satisfaction. I was not really sharing it with anyone at all. I showed pictures of my work to a relative, and this relative is an attorney. She's a contract attorney. One of her clients at the time, up and coming, Lisa Butler. And when she saw my pictures, Kim, she said, "Sandra, you need to show your work to the public. Have a show." And for 6 months, we worked together and put together an exhibit in my apartment. And moved all the furniture around and turned it into a gallery and invited friends and family. The place was packed. You know, people come out when they learn that it's about a passion that I had. This wasn't just a birthday party or a cocktail party. It was showing my work to the public as an exhibit. People were lined up down the hallway to the elevator. I mean, after that, it gave me all this confidence. And things just kind of took off after that. The series today is called More Than Just a Pretty Face. These are all portraits, and my style of painting these portraits is pop art. So I'm taking the image and giving it another color palette, just so that you have a little more to talk about when you see the image. You have more to see. You can look further into the person's character. This particular one, Afro Lady, she, it's her hair. I have 5 pieces in this show, so I'm going to just kind of run through each real quick for the sake of time. And they are all of the same series. And then they speak to my journey as a black woman with a whole bunch of hair, and then I went through a couple of big chops, right? Cut off all my hair 4 times in my lifetime. And, as women, we become known for our hair, right? Beautiful black woman with a big afro. And then when I cut my hair off, I would get the response or the reaction, oh my God, you cut off all your hair, what happened? But then the people that say, oh my God, you cut off all your hair and you still look fabulous. That's the reaction from a person that sees you more than what the public's conception of beauty. Here, Isabel, who I was inspired by my grandmother by painting this picture. When she came here from Puerto Rico, she had very, very short hair, very nappy, and she went through being made fun of and bullied, but she was very proud, and she's a beautiful woman. The next image also is, let's see, I do have to take some notes since I have 5 of them here. The next one is Sophia. Sophia has a large afro. Now this is Sophia is a model from Madrid, Spain. I was drawn to her because she has dark skin and very sensual curves, and it reminded me of myself. So I changed up the palette and made it a little more interesting, a little more colorful. The 4th image and here you have a woman who has chopped off all of her hair. So she's unburdened by the hair, and her baldness is a symbol. The next image. Her baldness is a symbol of her strength and the triumph over adversity. And the final image is a picture of a fashion model by the name of Adut. The final image. She is from. When they catch up. The final image is Adut, and she is from South Africa. She is a very successful model. Yeah, here we go. She's a very successful model, but she came from a refugee camp in Kenya, and was also made fun of by her looks and her dark skin, and overcame all of that. And now she's very, very successful. All of these images are reflection of me and my life. My journey as an artist is still developing. My artist family here, they're very successful and have been doing this for a long time. I'm relatively new, but I've been very, very fortunate. I've had opportunities drop in my lap, and I've taken advantage of them. And thank God, people are responding, and I've done a few of these shows, and each show that I do, at least one of my pieces sells. So I'm so grateful for that. I had reached out to the Rye Arts Center a couple of years ago, saying, oh, look at me, I'm really good. Can I come in, can I be in your show? And the answer was no, the show was full. So I just forgot it. But then I did Heath Gallery and Kente Raw Gallery in Harlem, and the Blue Door Art Center in Yonkers, fabulous organizations. And this year, I got a new follower on Instagram, and her name was Kicki Storm. And Kicki really loved my work. I'm like, oh, okay. And and invited me to do this show. So I'm very, very grateful to be here. Grateful for all of the opportunities that I've had. And if you have any questions, we can wrap this up. We're good?
So I think we have one on Zoom, right? We'll go to one artist on Zoom. And then maybe we'll wrap it up.
Piece in particular is really celebrating something that I believe is intricate to anybody that is a part of the African diaspora in particular. There's a certain amount of communication and energy and vibration that's shared throughout our communities in different ways. No matter what kind of place we might have been dropped off at during the colonial times, no matter what kind of separation happens, there's almost this unspoken kind of communication going back and forth through different musical genres like jazz or hip hop or R&B. There's different dances that happen in different communities that pop up around movements such as capoeira or samba down in Brazil. There's all these different pieces of communication that happen through rhythm. So I wanted to celebrate that in this body of work. This particular piece, I'm celebrating the richness of movement that happens when we are kind of fully showing ourselves in a traditional way. I know that the movement of the frills on her skirt as well as necklaces that are around her kind of accentuate exactly how she's moving and the movements that happen between. That's a little bit of a nod to my formal background in animation. But that's kind of where that piece sits within my overall body of work. The work that I usually do is a combination of different things. I refer to myself as a multimedia artist. So I've worked on murals, I have a large amount of murals at the detention center up in Howling I was able to work with during the course of the pandemic, as well as murals up in Yonkers and near Mahesi Municipal Buildings. I work with illustrations, I have a big background in other things and like comics and that kind of stuff. So all of those things find their way into my work. And yeah, it's kind of where that body of work is taking me so far. I'm interested to see where it's going to take me in the coming months, in the coming year. But that particular piece, Free, is really representing those particular things about my journey in that particular sandbox of rhythm.
Thinking about what's missing on your wall. And buy some art too. Thank you very, very much.
Well done.
Yes, question.
Go ahead.
This goes to all the artists and some of the other artists. Some people call me a BS artist. We all artists. I wanted to know what inspires the artist, what inspires you to start a work, and when do you know that that work is finished? Because I look at a lot of people paint, and I see all the detail that they put in, and I go, God, I didn't think about that. And I'm saying, what makes them stop? When do they say, wow, that's it?
I think, I'll jump in.
Go ahead, Ryan.
I think the starting of art, there's sometimes where there's nothing that can keep you from creating. Like in the moment that inspiration hits, and sometimes that comes from being around other artists, they will create something so powerful that you're like, I need to get my hands in the studio and paint now, because you can't help it. But when it comes to stopping, the moment that you stop, it's different for everyone. Some people would, for me, I paint till I don't paint. Like, okay, I don't have this. Okay. And there are other times where I drop one more piece of paint, I'm going to destroy that piece of work. So is it worth it? Is it worth it to take the risk or not, or am I good? And you have to know, for me, that's when I know that if I am fearful, if I do one more thing that I'm going to mess up my work, then I know you've done enough. But I think that's different for everyone. That little detail sometimes is like, is it worth it or not? And then there are other times that you're like, this is never going to be done until that little detail gets in there.
And if I could add to that, I was going to say, when you step back from the artwork and it looks back at you, and you have this communication where you're like, you know what I'm saying? It's like you don't get bored of looking at it. So it's like kind of like the artwork kind of like, it's like, let's continue this conversation without movement. Then, for me.
For me, it's what do I want to say, why am I saying it, and who am I saying it to? And once I have my idea in my head right away, I answer those questions. And when I look at the canvas and the canvas says it, and it answers my question, it's done. And I move on.
I guess same for me, it's that yearning, that calling from the ancestors deep that just, I got to continue, not only create a painting, but why we still continue to create, whether you started 5 years ago or started 20 or 30 years ago. It's that thing inside you, like, I got to keep doing this. And plenty of us, what you've done, you used to model, correct? And I'm sure you've made a good living modeling, but you didn't have to paint, but something I'm sure inside of you said, I got to do this. It's something inside you yourself that, and I'm sure the same thing for plenty of the other artists here, just that calling deep inside of that sense of, I got to say this, if it's not for somebody, but for your own self sense of humanity or existence as a person. Yes, yes.
So real quick, as just starting my series of paintings, most of my painting experience now has been series, okay? I do have some abstract series. The series that I'm doing now, when I start, I go through the ugly stage, okay? I start a painting, I have an idea of what I know I want it to look like, but in the beginning, it's really hard because a lot of it is just ugly, okay? It's just ugly. And I step back, I take a picture of it. But gradually, once I keep adding layers and layers and layers, I start to really I fall in love with the piece. And then it's hard to stop because I love it so much, so I just keep going. But a portrait is a portrait, And when I finally, get that last piece of last layer of red lipstick on there, and highlight it with a little splash of white for the light, I'm like, okay, we're done. I can sign it, and I try not to add anything. Once I sign it mentally, it's done. I'm like, and I put it on my wall, and I start working on something else. So that's my process.
Creating art is like you can compare it to your child, right? When my daughter was born, she, most children when they're born, they're not attractive. They look like little lizards, right? But as that child grows, as that child is being shown love, right? As you show that child love, it's just like creating a painting. As you keep adding paint to it, as that work is ugly actually becomes beautiful over time, and so that's how I'll compare it. I'm sorry, that was a bad analogy.
I'll add real quick. Sometimes I'll have a concept, and it will require a series of paintings. But as you said, once the signature's there, there's no return. Let it go. If I need to do something else, it just means another painting.
For me, it's usually something that triggers me because I'm very influenced by the world around me, the people around me, or many times what I see on television or what I'm reading in a novel. And when I get that urge to just create it, I can't stop myself. Whether it's the middle of the day or 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And then when I go into the studio, I just immediately start creating, whether it's doing photographs, whether it's actually starting to do graffiti. And then with ending it, I'm definitely that artist where I'll have the full work and people will come in my studio and be like, it looks great. I'm like, it's missing something. And then I'll just put like one black line on it. I'm like, oh, it's done.
and then I sign the back. I'm definitely that person. But like, I think we all vary, but y'all understand. Y'all know.
I wasn't going to speak, but since everyone spoke, I don't want to be the one that didn't speak. I invite everyone to get up now, go into the gallery, and speak to us one-on-one.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We'll move into the gallery now. Hi, I'm Kicki Storm. I'm the curator of the show. The title of the show is Black Artists in the Spotlight, Currents of Creativity. And boy, do we have some incredible creative artists in this room. Lucky to have a lot of them here today and their beautiful art. I'm going to start with this painting here by Anthony. And I'm going to ask Anthony, turn around for the camera because here's our artist for this piece.
How you doing? How you doing, Anthony Boone, abstract painter, sculptor?
Awesome. And he made this dress is based on a painting by Anthony Boone.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah, here we go. The back of the dress, the front of the dress. Talent all around here.
Thank you,
Thank you, Anthony. All right, so another piece here got by Martrice Roach. And then Jeremy Turpin's portrait here called Tiffany.
So yeah, like,
What?
I paint on the ground.
Maybe to the right we have Alvin underwater,
like
painting of drowning.
Kind of like the one that's right next to the
And moving right along, we're going to move along to this side of the room. We've got Emlyn Taveras, Tears of Injustice. Incredible piece. And here we have Mark Anthony Poems with a Beat, and it actually makes noise and talks to you. This is a cool piece. They're all so fascinating. Mixed media and Bluetooth. Moving right to your right. Come on. We are going to get Kiara Elliott's piece, Afrocentric Key. Oil paint on recycled wood. Inspiration is Grace Jones. Another one of her beautiful feature pieces. Gorgeous. I love all these artists' work. It was so hard to choose. Anthony Boone. Again, this is the piece that we talked about earlier. This is actually paper towel. Bits of tar thrown on here from his friend who worked for the Department of Transportation. So it creates energy. There's energy in this piece. And that's why it was perfect to go right next to this piece by Brian Kennedy, which is all about energy and dance. It's a gorgeous piece. And we're moving along. Here we've got DeMarcus's piece. We talk about the eyes and art. Next to DeMarcus' piece, here we have Evan Bishop's piece. He's ready to go. Evan's right behind you. Here we go. This one is titled, sorry. Our Brother Khalid. I'm so sorry. Acrylic and spray paint. And then we have Courtney Miner's piece. Imagine that. And then we got Tommy the Animator's piece, which actually you can turn on. It has a laser light. Right behind you is Courtney Miner.
I'm about to be on camera.
You're going to be on camera with her beautiful piece. Very talented artist, Courtney Miner. Next to Courtney Miner's piece, we have Martrice Roach from New Jersey. This is titled Chicago. And next to that, we have Alvin Clayton's piece. Three Girlfriends. I'll get out. Beautiful collaborative piece. Next, and then we have Martrice Roach's piece again. Facing the Future Together. I liked putting these two together because I feel like there's collaboration, there's warmth, there's kindness. It's a very positive corner. Here we have Joseph Abu's two pieces, Tie in Black. Oh, and look, we get to have Evan Bishop again. And then his beautifully designed T-shirt,
Peace, love, unity, and
sweatshirt.
having fun. That's hip hop.
That's hip hop. And his creative work we just talked about a few minutes ago. Our brother Khalif. That was a beautiful presentation on stage. Never happened.
You helped me to keep organized. So much I want to say. Thank you.
Good. It was really good. Everyone did such a great job.
I want to say what you pulled off is top notch.
Oh,
and I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh my God, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying that. I'm trying to do the best I can to like give you guys an opportunity to really share who you are, and that's what I like to see on stage, talking about your work. I love putting all these things together and figuring out a way to hang everything so different together with
well curated as well.
And I think it worked out because to have the audience and have people hear the story
That's important.
behind, to me, is like really important.
That's everything to me.
That's everything.
We can all look at the same piece and interpret it one way, but when the artist comes and explains it, it just allows us to put a different lens.
And you connect, like, okay, I get this. Wow, it becomes more powerful. I love that.
Thank you for allowing me.
Yes! Thank you so much.
Anytime you need me to join you,
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Okay, so we'll move around here.
Here's the curator. What's it been phenomenal?
Ryan is the curator as well.
I am. In the middle.
He's the curator too.
You're Kicki Storm, right? The Kicki Storm. The Kicki Storm. Are you really? How good are we, right?
Lucky.
And
You've
this
been
is
phenomenal.
Brian Small, one of our amazing artists, and a patron here, Eric Grayson.
Yeah, that's my purpose, right? That is my purpose, right?
And while we have Brian Small here, we're going to focus on his artwork very quickly here. The amazing piece, and the title is?
Manifest, magic, passion, power.
Here you go. Say it better than it. Excellent. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
And then we're going to hop over to DeMarcus's piece here again. Sorry, no worries. You in a room back. We called him I called him Uncle. The streets called him the Candy Man. I love this piece. I think it is so like, hey, don't mess with me. I'm going to take care of it. I love it. And moving right along, we have Tommy the Animator's piece. Very cool abstract piece. Beautiful colors. Alvin Clayton's piece on your left. The court behind you by Van Another fantastic piece.
Yeah, we did the circle crowd.
And then we're going to take advantage of Dennis Shelton. Mrs. Dennis Shelton.
Can you imagine if it wasn't simple?
And then we have Dennis Shelton.
They're being based in Florida,
Don't go anywhere. You guys can go right there. Dennis Shelton, this is an amazing piece. Seats for the ancestors. And we're thinking of the ancestors. Looking at the stool here. And then we have Dennis, this incredible artist.
So this is Seats of the Ancestors. My name is Dennis Shelton, and I am so happy to be part of this show at the Rye Arts Center. And this is Sebastian.
Hey, Sebastian.
And he does everything. I mean, everything.
I'm so glad you're here. Thank you.
Oh, I'm
Keep
so happy we met.
It's so great. It's so
Do you know he just did a report in school on Rosa Parks, and then he met me.
I made a speech.
I mean, is that unreal?
And then you met Dennis?
Right.
And can you write another report about this experience? Your teacher will be so amazed.
That's what I just told
Yeah,
him.
he gave me his card.
Right.
You should do that. Your teacher will be so amazed.
Can you imagine?
And all your friends will love to hear the story. And they'll be like, wow, you went to an art show and you met somebody whose relatives know Rosa Parks? That's a pretty amazing story.
They went to school together, worked together, and then they go on the bus together. They're probably on the bus going to work. What's incredible is she didn't even share that part. I knew they went to school together and they worked together, but she never told me she was on that
Like
bus.
the most important thing.
Yeah, so people, you know, when they started coming down to interview her, I said, how could you not share that?
I know, right? This is what happens. Sometimes people leave. My dad does that all the time. He leaves out the most important thing. I'm like, Dad, you met Martin Luther King? He goes, yeah, I did. And you signed a book for me.
My dad met Michael Jackson.
There you go. Write all these things down. So you can remember, because your dad might forget to tell you later in life.
Very special young man.
Well, so nice to meet you. Thanks for being here. Come back to the Rye Arts Center.
My sister came here like almost with camp.
I'm going to art camp here?
Yeah.
Cool. I hope you come back.
I didn't do the art camp. I was at skateboard.
Oh, well, there's a skateboard.
I know there's a skateboard.
You know that, okay.
But there's also one by mine.
Skateboard too? Oh, you gotta go.
You
do it all.
I do BMX, I scooter.
Oh.
And write that report to your teachers.
Please.
The follow-up report.
Yeah, write a report on what happened tonight. Very nice.
Okay.
The other way, please. Sorry.
Shoe almost. Well, we love this lighting, but here we go, Sandra. So this is Sandra's piece, Afro Lady, which is sold, by the way.
Are we on video? Is that what they're
making? Key clay print of this.
Ah, yes. Well, the varnish would be a challenge. You know, the other pieces, they have a matte varnish, so there's no reflection. This one has that gloss varnish on it, so doing a print could be challenging, but it could be done.
But you have like key clay. Okay.
Yeah, others. So
to
yeah,
memorialize.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a good piece.
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
would do that. I thought about it in the middle of the night. I'm like, I think I need to text Sandra to make it like that.
But you see the reflection though.
I do
that
see.
light reflection, that's what makes it a little more challenging. To get the quality photo, you know. If I'd done it before I varnished it, and you know what I mean?
Well,
but the other pieces are ready to go. The other pieces are good to go in terms of making a print.
A print. That's good.
You should play print. Yeah.
Anyway, thank you, Sandra. All right, let's see. We got Barry. Did we get Barry? Oh yeah. Kevin, MC, Master of Creativity, Mother of Pearls. Beautiful. And then we have Danielle Scott's beautiful pieces. These are incredible. 3 little girls.
No, it's just.
And then we'll hop on over here and we'll grab Barry for a quick second. So we didn't get to say hello to Barry.
Okay, so just say my name, everything?
Yes, here you are, yeah.
Okay.
Barry, this is Barry. This is a quick little thing. And these are Barry's pieces. What are the title of your pieces, Barry?
Okay, hello, my name's Mary Mason, and thank you all for being, well, first of all, thank you to Rye Arts Center, Kicki Storm, for allowing me to be a part of the Rye Arts Center once again, as well as all the great artists. This particular piece here is Project Interpretation. It's one of my latest shape canvases, oil on canvas, oil, spray paint, and enamel on canvas. I concentrate on the various shapes of positive, negative space, as well as weaving in and out my colors, going back and forth, as well as sometimes adding words and taking words out in my particular paintings. This particular piece here is one that, my first one where you can actually move the shape around and it still works as a whole painting as well. So it doesn't have to stay in this particular framework. It can be adjusted, this can be flipped, and it still works as an entire painting.
And this is by Mark Anthony Love, Project Just Truth. He's an incredible mixed media artist. And we are thrilled to have him here at Arts Center. And we continue. We have another fabulous piece by Tommy the Animator, acrylic on canvas. Another portrait, Facets of Love by Emlyn Taveras. Bryant Small's Indulgence, alcohol ink on Yupo paper, and next to that, MC Kev's Visual Ecstasy. Very nice. We're going to introduce you this one. They go back to the front with Anthony Burns in black. So Barry Mason's Revolutionary piece on stretched canvas, oil, spray paint, and then we have DeMarcus McCaughey's This Women's Work. And all of his pieces actually have pieces of his photographs of his grandmother's quilt, and he incorporates them into all his pieces. And then we've got a couple more here by Sandra White. She has 5 portraits here. And we have Anthony Boone's piece. This one is titled It, and it actually goes great in here because we have some geodes, and it kind of looks like a geode. Mixed media and organic materials. Oh, that's right. See you Thursday. And behind Sarah. Great job, Kicki. Behind Sarah, we have 2 more portraits by Sandra White. Yes. All right, take care. And that concludes our quick little tour of the gallery at the Rye Arts Center. So please join us and view this incredible artwork with beautiful pieces. Thank you.